Used to be. So when I left off, Ingram Hill came a calling, and that was while I was with Saving Abel. At that point, we really didn't have too much going on, and when Ingram Hill called me and said, "Hey, we're gonna pay you. You're gonna be on bus. You're gonna have a guitar tech," and as a musician, that's what you want. You want, to be able to make it to a place where someone else sets up your stuff. You're riding on a bus. You don't have to do anything else but play. And I will tell you again, that is one of the coolest things ever, and something that should never be taken for granted. Also, the guitar, bass techs, drum techs, production, management, everybody deserve more money than the musicians, because they are up from sun up to sundown, sometimes before the sun's up, setting up that show. And it's not just for us, it's for y'all too. It's a lot for y'all. And being a guitar tech to then having a guitar tech, I was so thankful to have the experience, so I know what was being done for me. So that was a cool part. So I get the call from Ingram Hill. I learned 6 songs. They said pick 6 songs, and got 6. Went down to where it was strings and things, but it became Minglewood Hall, and we rehearsed under there. They have a basement. It has a basement. The Alamo has a basement. If anyone gets that, the Alamo has a basement. So I'm learning these songs, and as a vocalist, I have to learn the backing vocals. So not only am I learning notes and patterns, I'm learning lyrics at the same time. We had probably a week and a half before they went out, and they were going to use another bass player, but I went in, knocked out those 6 songs, and they said, "Can you learn about 2.5 more records worth of songs?" And I said, "Absolutely." I didn't think anything of it. I just said, "You know what, I can do it." And it was a big undertaking, but by the grace of God, I got through that and was able to learn it. That was a whole lot. That was the most pressure I think I'd put myself under to be ready, because we were leaving 2 weeks. The first show was at, I believe it's Muggs in Hattiesburg. It was a blast because Chris Lierskov, you might know him as Spink, and Matt Cullum, little Matt, came down and saw and Clay Garner, again, miss you, buddy, came down and saw that first show. I had 2 gigantic panic attacks. One was before we got on stage, of course, and then as soon as the music started, I was fine. But the second one was about halfway through, and I'm going to tell y'all, I swear I was going to die. It was the excitement of the time and what I was doing, and my mind was going a million miles a minute, but yet I'm still having to play and sing and all this, and it was crazy. But you know what? Again, got through it, and that was my favorite part with Ingram Hill, is that I learned to face a lot of fears and learned that I can swim when a lot of folks would sink. So it proved a lot to me. I proved a lot to myself. And so we keep touring, and we get to open, we go on a few runs, Sister Hazel, do shows with Gin Blossoms, Black Crows, and then we do some of the weirdest festival style market shows, I guess, because one was at the Hump at Mississippi State. It was Steve Azar, Ingram Hill, Young Jock, and Blues Traveler. So every genre got covered. And then the next day or the next week, we were playing with, it was us, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, and oh God, what was that other band? I'm going to hate if I don't remember it. Oh, Chameleonaire. That, and I will tell you, every single one of those guys that roll with him, awesome guys. So I got to do some really cool stuff with Ingram Hill. I got to, headline festivals that, I lost Saving Abel a contest to open for Saliva. I got to headline that with Ingram Hill, the same festival at Elvis Presley Fest in Tupelo. So that's fun how that all ties in. And I have to tell you the story of my last few shows with Ingram Hill, all in Florida. We're opening for Sister Hazel. We go play some great clubs. We play Janice Landing. We play House of Blues in Orlando. That was nuts. But we stopped in Fort Lauderdale, and truly a long story short, somehow our door was left open at the hotel that me and one of the other guys was staying in, and we got robbed in the middle of the night while we slept. Thank God we only had one show left, and that was the one at the House of Blues in Orlando. So got robbed on that, straight up asleep, slept through it. Again, I can sleep through a hurricane. That's neither here nor there. But the biggest change in my life was coming home from that last show. We had just driven about 20-something hours to get back Orlando to Memphis in an 18-passenger van, which again isn't the worst thing in the world, but it is not fun. When we got back, it was raining really, really bad. And I remember I had a bad panic attack on the way home because my windshield wipers wouldn't work. So I get home and I was talking to a friend, and she is just one of the most wonderful, caring, loving Christian women I've ever met. And I was sitting there just like, God, why is this woman so happy and I'm not? Why? How is she just blah, 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 and I'm the one sitting here with, the bus, and then, but then we got down to the 18-passenger van. I'm the one doing all this stuff, and she's just happy to be here. And I will tell you, that's the first time I realized that she is a Christian and I wasn't. I went to church all my life. I did, I learned all the Bible verses and everything. But I was still so empty, and this woman had the most wonderful joy and beauty inside of her that just was captivating. I couldn't understand. And oddly enough, being a man that grew up in a Southern Baptist home, catching that at that point, it's just crazy. So that night, after I talked to her, I talked to God. And that was July 27th of 2007. And that's when I gave my life to Christ. And yes, I will say I am a Christian. Politically, I'm not affiliated any other way, anything like that. But I will tell you, God changed my life. Absolutely, God changed my life. And it led me to find that joy and find that happiness and find what that woman had. And again, he gave me a new life. I started to really see things the way I needed to. So I'm not going to jump in a soapbox or anything. That's my walk, and I know everybody, I don't judge you for what you believe, anything like that. That's just, this is my faith. So I ended up leaving Ingram Hill because I felt I needed time to just step back, and I even thought I was going to go into the ministry. But I felt I'd be jumping ahead of myself, so I didn't, obviously. But I did meet some wonderful Christian men that were in a band that had a biblical name called the Dirt Brothers. That band was what a touring band should be about. And yes, I gave my life to Christ, but I'm not perfect. We drank, we played shows, we opened for some super badass folks, and we just the most fun you could have with your best friends. And we went to Florida and did a whole bunch of shows down there too. And again, we go down there and it's Florida. I don't know what it is with me and Florida, or Florida hates me. I don't know. But anytime I go to Florida, things happen, and that's when I busted open my fingers. But I digress on that one. But playing with John Hall, Chad Gatewood, Tony Meharry, Blake Cox, Tyler Cox, and then we added Chris Gavin later on, and Chris Johnson was in it at the very beginning. They won CMA or CMT Video of the Year, Independent Video of the Year, for the song Barnyard Pimp, which I still love to this day. I still love the music to this day. That's actually the band where I broke my ankle on stage, first song, and as everyone there knows, I did finish the show. I did have to sit down, but I finished the show, and we were opening for Blues Traveler. That was a good one. That was a really good one. With Dirt Brothers, we played everywhere we could, and we never stopped. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And what was unfortunate is my back injury from when I was a wrestler in high school really came back to bite me. And it took me out of everything. So this is the next chapter will be about getting into why I dropped out of the music scene and had no career for a long time, and a couple years, but it was a long time. It's not going to be the easiest one to talk about, but it's kind of what this is for. I'll be sharing some Dirt Brothers videos here shortly. I hope to have this uploaded today. But as always, keep playing. You never know who's listening. Be yourself. God bless you. Have a great night.